we'll hear from manager Mike Shildt. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
Or in this case, filling in for Sam Levitt today, Chris Ello on the Padres pregame show. Padres baseball on the air as the Padres begin a 3-game series tonight in Denver at Coors Field against the Colorado Rockies. Padres, of course, as you know, are not only playing their best ball of this season, but maybe the best ball they've ever played. After all, the Padres have won 19 of their last 22 games, the first time in franchise history that has ever happened. Let's set the table for you, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971, with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside. And the superlatives for the Padres just keep rolling in. 19-3 as mentioned in their last 22 games. Never done it before. 134 runs scored in those 22 games, an average of 6.1 per game. They've only allowed 70 runs, an average of 3.1. That means over a 22-game span, the Padres are outscoring their opponent by an average of 3 runs per game. They're 7-1 at home. They're 12-2 on the road. They have 5 shutout wins and only 3 losses. They are 4-0 in extra innings, which gives them a 7-1 season record in extra innings, the best in baseball. This coming a year after they couldn't win any games in extra innings. The Padres have gone 5-1 in 1-run games, and believe it or not, of the 19 wins the Padres have had during this recent hot stretch, 9 of them have been by 4 runs or more. They've been blowing out a lot of their opponents. The Padres have won 8 consecutive series. They have never before won 9 series in a row. That is something they will be attempting to do this weekend against the Rockies. Padres, though, despite all that, are still tied with the surging Diamondbacks atop the wild card heap in the National League. Both San Diego and Arizona are 6.5 games clear of the Mets for the final wild card spot, but still trail the first-place Dodgers by 2 games in the NL West. As far as the Colorado Rockies are concerned, they're bringing up the rear in the National League. They're 44-78, but don't tell that to the Padres. The Rockies are 6-4 against San Diego this year, and always seem to give the Padres a rough time at Coors Field. That sets the table for you. Now, before we go too much further ahead on tonight's pregame show, let's look back at the Padres' most recent victory.
How did the Padres fare in their last game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind. Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Padres looking for the sweep of the Pittsburgh Pirates on Wednesday afternoon at Petco Park, and they had talked about getting off to a little faster start. They did exactly that on Wednesday afternoon. Bottom of the first inning, Jake Cronenworth in the swing of things.
1-1 from Keller to pitch. Jake swings, hits it in the air, on a line, deep to right, towards the porch. Gonna go! 3-run homer for Jake Cronenworth into the Petco porch. And before the Padres have made an out here this afternoon, they've got a 3-0 lead.
As it turned out, that would be all they would need, but that would not be all they would get. The Padres would go right back to work in the bottom of the second inning. Runner on base, Luis Arise, your turn.
0-1 pitch, Arise muscles it in the air to shallow center field. Taylor charging, he'll dive forward, can't get there, rolls behind him. Wade's going to come in and score. Arise motoring into second base. Throw from Reynolds, no chance. RBI double Luis Arise, and the Padre lead 4-0. Another little miscue will cost the Pirates.
Yeah, every mistake everybody's making these days, the Padres are taking advantage of. In the bottom of the third inning, they would continue their onslaught against Pirates starter Mitch Keller. This time it was Jackson Merrill, who has had a couple of good moments you may have noticed recently.
Left-handed batter, of course, swings at the first pitch, lines it just fair down the right field line. It's going to roll all the way to the corner. Cronenworth has scored. Manny's on his way. He's going to score. Throw home, no chance as he slides in. feet first. Merrill into third. A 2-run triple and a 6-0 Padre lead.
Jackson Merrill's magic continuing, and right after he had plated 2 runs with that triple, it was the birthday boy stepping into the box, the veteran David Peralta.
And first pitch swinging. Peralta sends one in the air to deep right. De La Cruz is back at the wall, looking up, gonna go! How about a birthday blast for David Peralta? His second home run of the series. And now 8-0 here in the third.
David Peralta, first Padre to homer on his birthday since, of all people, Austin Hedges back in 2017. Padres had an 8-0 lead after 3 innings. They kind of called off the dogs after that, turned things over to left-handed starter Martin Perez, who once again was outstanding on the mound. His third outing provided the Padres with their third win. He was credited with his first Padre win. Perez, 5 1/3 innings, allowed just 1 run and struck out 8. Bullpen shut things down from there, and the Padres completed their sweep of the Pirates 8-2 on Wednesday afternoon. Second time this year they've swept the Pirates. That goes along with their 2 sweeps of the Nationals. Padres, for the first time in team history, have swept 2 teams a complete season series in the same year. Like I said, the accolades just keep pouring in, and they hope to continue for the Padres tonight in Denver. And speaking of the Mile High City, let's check in with today's game preview.
Let's go inside the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup from Tony Gwynn Jr. in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with my guest. Who? Tony
Back
Gwynn.
in the saddle,
Tony Gwynn Jr. Mike, yes, it's me, your best friend, here on the Padre pregame show tonight. Well, Tony, into Denver we go, and the Padres go. Yeah, I'm going to ask you, I mean, is there any trepidation on the part of a ball club such as the Padres that are playing so well right now, yet they are facing a team that has given them trouble?
I don't know that I would doubt that there's trepidation as it pertains to those guys. I think most of the trepidation comes from outside of that locker room, the fans and, broadcasters. We've been to this building too often, and things just be weird. So, despite how the Padres playing probably you could argue the best baseball in all of Major League Baseball, this place is just different.
What makes it so offensive minded? The fences are actually quite far away, and I know people talk about the altitude, but it isn't the home runs that kill you there in Denver, is it? It's the wide open spaces in the outfield that seems to do more of the damage.
It's the space. It's not actually yes, the homers happen, and I think everybody understands altitude and how the baseball works in the altitude, but it's really the large amount of outfield grass that you have to cover. And you have to make a decision. Are you taking away the extra base hits? Are you taking away the dinkers? Because in most cases, you usually would just take the extra bases away and let them have the singles. But those things can spiral out of control in a place like this. I've seen it on too many occasions. So at this point, these guys have played here enough. I think they understand how they have to play, and ultimately it just boils down to executing, and the Padres have been doing that at an elite level.
They always say that momentum is only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. Well, that starting pitcher is Matt Waldron, and he didn't have his best outing last time out, but he's already pitched at Coors Field and pitched well there this year. What has been the difference, and what can we see early from Waldron to let us know whether he's on tonight?
Command of it's not necessarily the knuckleball, right? He's had starts where the knuckleball has, not been his best pitch to begin the game, but he's commanded the sinker and the cutter and the slider, or the sweeper, I should say. And so as long as he has those weapons to work with, we've seen him have success. Now, the caveat is that altitude, you don't know how it affects the knuckleball. And if if it's going to have an effect on the knuckleball. And his first time out here, you're absolutely right. He pitched as well as I can remember a Padres starter pitching, especially in his first chance here. He went 6 innings. He gave up 4 hits. He gave up the 1 run. If you could get a start like that from him again here today, that's a win for the Padres. So he's been one of the guys that, even when he hasn't thrown the ball well, he's been able to eat up innings. That's not an issue here today after an off day, and the Padres really being able to kind of not stay away from their high leverage guys the last game they played. And so they got a full boat here if they need it, for sure.
And it is a Players' Weekend for those maybe wondering, but all the players are going to have their own nicknames that they want on the back of their uniforms, including my guy, La Regaderia. I said it better earlier than I did that time.
You said it way better
I
earlier,
know.
by
Luis
the way.
Arraez, La Regaderia, all of the Padres. Wally will be on the mound, Matt Waldron. Any thought of nicknames for the broadcasters this weekend? You and Tony, you and Jesse discussed yet?
No thoughts on the broadcast nickname. By the way, the names will not actually be on the back of the jerseys. They won't be. That is something that, for whatever reason, Major League Baseball is staying away from. We just get to, I think, elaborate on those nicknames on our own.
It'll be up on the scoreboard and all of that stuff, though, I think.
The scoreboard, they'll have some cool – everybody will have cool bats that they've specially designed.
Yeah.
That's kind of where it's at this year.
All right. Well, enjoy the weekend in Denver, as always, Tony, and we'll see you back here Monday after another successful weekend, we hope.
Thank you, Chris. Have a good one,
Thanks,
brother.
buddy. Always good talking to my man, Tony Gwynn Jr. there. The Padre pregame show, Ecowater SoCal Pregame Show rolls on. Much more to come when we return. Mike Shildt, we will hear some of his thoughts heading into Game 1 of the series against the Rockies next on the Padres Radio Network. All right, Sam Levitt getting a much-deserved night off. Chris Ello on the Padre pregame show tonight. Padres and Rockies, game 1 of a 3-game set in Denver. Comes up a little after 5:30. Mike Shildt has his team playing fantastic baseball, as you know. It is something that Shildt accomplished in the second half of his managerial seasons in St. Louis, and he's got it going on again. Here are some of the comments from Mike Shildt in tonight's pregame press conference.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Knuckleball well. No, I did the ball well. Actually, less spin and can be more effective here. So the knuckleball didn't spin as much, so it was good last time out. We look forward to tonight as well.
How much do you think the dry conditions here might help also? It seems like the humid and moist conditions were more problematic for him in terms of the grip. Does that have anything to do with it possibly?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a question for Matt, but yeah, it could be. But I think we feel good about him going tonight. Yeah.
Off day before this series. It seems important to have an off day either before or after you're going to have a series here in Coors just for the health of your pitching staff.
Yeah, listen, having the day off was good. Ready to go tonight. Don't want to make too much of being here. I can't ignore the fact that, it's elevated and there can be a little more challenges, but, we'll just go play baseball.
That being said, do you manage any differently in terms of how you plan out your bullpen or how you might do your infield defenses or any of that kind of stuff?
I think we know that the games can tend to be a little higher scoring, but, we'll just kind of evaluate the game and read what the game calls for.
Players Weekend, how fun is it to see these guys sort of get a chance to express themselves with the bats and the shoes and some of the other fun things that go on during this weekend?
Yeah, I think it's really good. I think it's important that players are able to express themselves and, listen, it's a team sport, and these guys are definitely team players. They're all about, our club being good as one unit, but I think it's good to see the guys be able to express themselves, represent their country, give shout-outs to people. I think it's really healthy and it's good for the game.
With David Peralta kind of way back when, what are your early recollections of what he was like? I can't imagine you envision this path for him. What do you remember about him?
No, I wish we would have figured it out. I was in rehab with him. I can't recall exactly. AJ, it was either 2 or maybe 3 years. Because I was running extended. He was in the rehab program that whole time and just never got healthy. What I remember about him is, first of all, he's just a tremendous young man, just a really, really conscientious, hard worker, very dedicated, just everything that you'd want. And so you pull for all of them, but you're pulling like heck with this guy. You saw how hard he worked. He just never was able to really get it back on the pitching standpoint. He didn't mention in passing, I can hit, but it's not one of those things where a guy's got a big arm. As an outfielder or infielder or catcher or something like that, you say, okay, let's see him on the mound, but you don't really make the transition from the pitchers into the, give him a chance to hit, and definitely can do that. So he was a fun young man.
The fact that he's had as much longevity as he has, though, it seems like that wouldn't surprise you given how hard you saw him working.
It wouldn't surprise me at all because, I saw his journey with his arm recovery, and again, he wasn't able to overcome it just because of the health of it, but it was for nothing that he did. He was tenacious and very dedicated to getting back. So you saw the hunger, you saw the heart, you saw the desire to play was very, very high. So wasn't an easy route for him to go and become a position player and make a big leaguer. That's a pretty historic thing. He's been able to do it. He's been able to do it well, but his hunger for the game is not surprising.
Doesn't every pitcher say he can hit?
Well, they used to. Now I don't think they want any part of it. I haven't heard a pitcher ask for an at-bat or BP in a couple of years. But back when pitchers hit, yeah, man, they were always looking for at-bats and looking to, compete with their offensive side.
Get any clarity on the Tatis for yourself down with the
He's improving. We don't have any clear timetable, but he definitely is taking those next steps, just in general about how he feels. He's just not feeling it. Feels like more of himself, which is clearly good. Had conversations with all the medical people, including him, and he's definitely getting there. Just still wanting some healing to take place before we ramp up. Once he ramps up, he'll be getting ready pretty quickly, I would imagine, but we're still determined when that is.
It's like playing as well as you are knowing that you still have that back. Who won?
Yeah, we always compete with the team we have, and we miss the guys that aren't with us. We miss him. We've been able to compete very well in it without him, but we're very excited about it. Looking forward to getting him back.
Is there another MRI in the works, or has he had one recently?
Not recently, not since the last time we've shared anything, and I do believe there's something. There's been a back and forth as to when and the why of the when. We haven't finalized it.
What's he doing this weekend? Last time he was in Arizona.
Yeah, he's back in San Diego. He's with Peralta. They're doing the rehab in San Diego.
How was Peralta?
He's doing well. He's been able to throw off the mound. Velocity looks good. He's been able to increase his aerobic movements, but he's in a good place, Wandy, and we want to obviously be careful, but he's starting to ramp up.
What about Kolek? Was there any progress?
He's still in Arizona, and the imaging was clear. Just trying to get some of the information out, and get it back to playing catch.
Mike, since Xander came back, there's been pretty good consistency, kind of a right-handed lineup, left-handed lineup, generally speaking. Not to make too big a thing of it, but do you think there's some cause and effect there with how well the team is playing? Or
Listen, there can be, Jesse. I always like, I think the players do too. We're not afraid to move things around if we have to, but once people find their roles and find their spots and find things that work, I think everybody feels pretty good about that.
All right, Mike Shildt sampling of some of his comments prior to tonight's game between the Padres and the Colorado Rockies. Time now to check in on who's hot, which is a lot longer list for the Padres these days than who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
As mentioned, the Padres are hot. You win 19 out of 22 games. Just about everybody's doing well. But some of the notables, Luis Arraez over the last week, 385. He's raised his average to 310 to lead the National League as he's in search of his third batting title. David Peralta, who Mike Shildt just talked glowingly about in the pregame, has hit 429 the last week with a couple of home runs and 5 RBIs. Jake's driven in 7 in the last week, and Manny has driven in 6. On the pitching side, the 2 deadline acquisitions, Brian Hoying and Jason Adam, have both been almost unhittable since joining the Padres. Hoying 9 innings, 2 hits, no runs. Jason Adams 7 innings, 4 hits, and no runs. All of those guys are hot. It's pretty hard to find somebody who's not, but if you really want to stretch it a little, Xander is in a 4 for 23 rut right now for the Padres. Ha-Seong Kim is still looking for his first home run since June 22nd. Maybe tonight's the night in Denver. That's who's hot. That's who's not. Now let's get you some of the news and notes around Major League Baseball.
What's the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball? Sam Levitt takes you around the horn on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, I can also take you around the horn, and here we go. Houston Astros third baseman Alex Bregman likely to miss this weekend's series against the White Sox. Right elbow injury. MRI today did show no structural damage, so for now, Bregman not going to be put on the injured list. Two-time All-Star Bregman is a .273 career hitter for the Red Hot Astros, have won 8 straight games. The Boston Red Sox today signing to a minor league contract. Rich Hill. Yeah, 44-year-old Hill will report to Triple-A ball on Sunday or Monday. This according to ESPN's Buster Olney. Rich Hill pitched with the Padres last year. Things didn't go all that well, but in his career, he's 90-73 with a 4.01 ERA. This is really terrific news. Former Chicago Cubs Hall of Famer Ryne Sandberg saying today he is cancer-free. Sandberg made the announcement on Instagram today, nearly 7 months after he announced that he had metastatic prostate cancer. But Sandberg says he's clear and feeling great. 64 years old. 64-year-old has kept a well-wishers updated on his progress throughout his ordeal. Sandberg, the Hall of Famer with 282 career home runs, was the 1984 National League most valuable player. Those are some of the top headlines today in Major League Baseball. It's great news about Ryne Sandberg. We'll take a timeout. Padres have been providing nothing but great news. When we return, keys to the game, we'll check on some little injury details for you as the Padre pregame show rolls on. Chris Ello sitting in for Sam Levitt this evening. Padres-Rockies coming your way shortly on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Chris Ello back on the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show, filling in for Sam Levitt this evening. Padres and the Colorado Rockies, game one of a three-game series. Padres need a sweep of the series to win the season series over the Rocks, who have given the Padres some problems. They've won 6 of 10 games, but nobody has given the Padres many problems of late. Padres have won 19 of their last 22 games. They've won 8 consecutive series, trying for the first time in franchise history this weekend to make it 9 series wins in a row. The injury report right now.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Normally when a team is rolling like the Padres are, there really are no injuries to report, but there's still a big one to deal with. If you're the Padres, that's Fernando Tatis Jr. I mean, he's only one of the most dynamic players in all of baseball. He's been out since June 22nd. It's coming up on 2 months without Fernando. Mike Shildt did provide an update, if you heard our Mike Shildt press conference a little earlier in the pregame, but there's really no timetable for Fernando's return. They talk about him ramping up certain activities and not ramping up others, so it's kind of a cross your fingers deal right now. Hope that they can get him back for September. But the injury continues for Fernando Tatis Jr. And the bullpen, Wandy Peralta, has been out for a couple of weeks. Another arm that the Padres certainly won't mind having back. But this bullpen has been wonderfully fortified by General Manager A.J. Preller at the trade deadline. It almost doesn't seem like they're missing either Wandy Peralta or Stephen Kolek, who are both on the injured list right now. That's a check of the injuries for you. But mostly, it's the Padres' opponents that are hurting the most lately. Speaking of their opponents, let's take a look at how some of them are doing tonight as we check in on the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
All right, as we said earlier, Padres begin play tied with the Diamondbacks for not only second place in the National League West, but the top spot in the wild card race. Diamondbacks looking for their 7th win in a row tonight, playing in Tampa Bay, leading the Rays 2-1. This game's now in the top of the 6th inning. Jock Peterson, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. had RBI hits for the D-backs in the first inning. They jumped out to a quick 2-0 lead. Ryan Nelson coughed up a home run to Dylan Carlson in the Tampa Bay 5th. But right now, Arizona leads 2-1 over Tampa Bay. Dodgers are just getting started in St. Louis against the Cardinals. L.A. 71-51, 2 games ahead of the Padres in the West. Elsewhere, Kansas City leads Cincinnati 1-0. They're in the bottom of the 4th. Bobby Witt Jr. has hit his 25th home run of the year. Yankees shutting down Detroit 2-0, bottom of 5 behind Garrett Cole. Pittsburgh trying to snap a 10-game losing streak, leading Seattle now 3-2, bottom of 5. Paul Skeens on the mound for the Pirates. 5 innings, he struck out 6. Also allowed a 2-run home run to Luke Raley. Philadelphia shutting out Washington 2-0, bottom of 4. Boston's got a 2-run homer from Rafael Devers. They lead at Baltimore 4-1, top of 3. And the Mets are up on Miami 1-0 in the bottom of the 3rd inning. A few games coming a little bit later on. Earlier today at Wrigley Field, Seiya Suzuki's RBI single in the bottom of the 10th lifted the Cubs to a 6-5 win over Toronto. All right, so we roll on the pregame show, and now we solve the riddle that is unlocking the keys to a Padre victory.
How will the Padres unlock a victory in today's game? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Honor Buick GMC Hummer in National City.
All right, some of the keys tonight. I think anytime you're in Denver, you got to keep an eye on the walks and errors. It's those hidden plays that can really catch up to you. Tony Gwynn Jr. mentioned it in our earlier interview, but you get a couple of balls, drop in for singles, you mix a walk in there, all of a sudden the ball's flying up against the wall and 2-3 runs are coming in. Walks are at a premium in any game. There's certainly no question. But I always feel it means even more in Denver. And you make an error to keep an inning alive, give somebody a 4th out, it can cost you 4 or 5 runs before it's all said and done at Coors Field. So you want to keep the traffic under control. No freebies tonight from Matt Waldron. Another key tonight is getting into the bullpens. And again, if Waldron can go 6 or 7, terrific. But you get into the bullpen of the Colorado Rockies, you're doing something, because the Rockies have no bullpen. Colorado has the worst bullpen ERA in all of baseball, 5.69. There aren't many players down there that Bud Black can trust. The Padres, on the other side, have an ERA of 2 runs lower than the Rockies in the bullpen. And San Diego relievers this year are 30-13. Padres have been winning the close games, finding a way to get it done when it's close and it's late. It's a little easier to get it done against the Colorado bullpen than it is Colorado starters who have some talent. One last thing, and it never hurts to have a lead, but especially against the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies this year have trailed after 6 innings 63 times. They've lost 56 of those games. You get ahead of the Rockies, it's usually night-night for Colorado. Unfortunately, though, that does not include April 25th, when Colorado woke up for a 6-run 8th inning and turned the game around and beat the Padres. Doesn't happen very often. Rockies don't rally to win many games, get out ahead, and don't let them think they have a chance tonight. Those are some of the keys to tonight's game, things to keep an eye on. We'll take a break. As the Padre pregame show rolls on, we've still got our pitching preview to do and some fun stuff to watch for as the Padres head into Coors Field to take on the Rockies. More of the Ecowater SoCal pregame show when we come back on San Diego's #1 sports talk station, 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. One note for the Colorado Rockies coming into tonight's ball game. The Rockies today designated for assignment their starting catcher, Elias Diaz. Diaz was the All-Star Game MVP a year ago, and the Rockies starting catcher who batted cleanup much of this season, but he struggled of late. Rockies are going to move on from him. Jacob Stallings will be in the lineup catching tonight, and Colorado's going to recall Drew Romo, a youngster from their AAA affiliate, so the Padres won't have to deal with Elias Diaz. They also won't have to deal with Chris Bryant. I know this won't surprise a lot of people who follow the Rockies or baseball, but Chris Bryant's back on the injured list for the third or maybe fourth time. I'm not sure this season. His back continues to give him problems, and well, suffice to say that the Rockies did not do well on that free agent signing of Chris Bryant. The Padres, meanwhile, they're doing awfully well as they head into tonight's game, looking to make it 20 wins in their last 23 games. To do it, well, let's see what they got to watch for.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
I personally have no idea what Sam Levitt's going to be keeping an eye on tonight, but I'll tell you what I'm going to be keeping an eye on tonight. I'm going to be keeping an eye on the Padres adding to their league-leading batting average. San Diego's hitting .265 as a team this year. That leads all of Major League Baseball. And it's interesting because in the history of the Padres franchise, 55 years worth, the Padres have never led the major leagues in hitting. Ever. Even in all the great Tony Gwynn Hall of Fame hitting days, the Padres as a team never had baseball's best batting average. Well, they have it this year at .265, and they have especially made hay on the road. The Padres are hitting .281 on the road this year. That is so far away the best in baseball. It's hard to believe. The next best road batting average belongs to the New York Mets at .263. Padres are nearly 20 points ahead of them, hitting .281 on the road. Coors Field, of course, is a great place to get a bunch of hits, but it hasn't always been a great place for the Padres to win a bunch of games. All-time record at Coors Field for the Padres, 124 wins, 140 losses. But then again, the Padres haven't been playing like this every time they've gone to Denver. Padres have baseball's best record, as you know. Since the All-Star break, they're 19-4. The Arizona Diamondbacks are next best at 20-5. The Diamondbacks have won 80% of their games since the All-Star break. Padres have won better than that. The third best record since the All-Star break belongs to the Dodgers, 15-10. Yeah, the NL West has the top three. But both the Padres and Diamondbacks have picked up 5 games on L.A. since the All-Star break when they trailed by 7. Those are some things to watch for tonight as the Padres go into Colorado. Here's another thing you can watch for. Tonight's pitching matchup.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview. Presented by Chimney Sweeps, Inc., San Diego's trusted chimney and fireplace service company for 40 years. Call Chimney Sweeps, Inc. at 1-800-CHIMNEY or book an inspection online at chimneysweepsinc.com.
All right, tonight's pitching matchup is a rematch of sorts. Matt Waldron for the Padres, Cal Quantrill for Colorado. Now, the reason I say it's a rematch of sorts, these two matched up, went head-to-head here on August the 4th, just 12 days ago at Petco Park. Waldron got the better of that one as the Padres went on to beat the Rockies 10-2. Let's talk about Matt Waldron a little bit, the 27-year-old right-hander from Omaha, Nebraska. Comes into tonight's game with a 7-9 record and a 4.00 ERA. Waldron is making his 25th start. Since May 11th, he has really been good, though, for the Padres. 6-5 with a 3.39 ERA since early May. Since that time, Waldron has allowed 3 or less runs in 14 of his 17 starts, including 11 in a row at one point. He's had good success already this year against the Rockies also. 2-0 for Waldron with a 1.54 ERA against Colorado. That includes a stellar 6 innings of work at Denver earlier this season. Waldron, however, is not coming off of his best outing. Last Saturday in Miami, he allowed 5 hits and 5 runs in 4 1/3 innings to the Fish. Padres, though, came back and won that game 9-8. Matt Waldron, right-hander, the knuckleballer for the San Diego Padres. On the other side, it is former Padre draft choice Cal Quantrill, 29-year-old right-hander from Port Hope, Ontario. Yes, he was born north of the border. That's where his dad played most of his career, Paul Quantrill with the Toronto Blue Jays. Cal Quantrill is 7-8 this year with a 4.56 ERA. Has a pretty good career mark, though, 42-31 after stops in San Diego and Cleveland before arriving in Colorado. He's making his 24th start this season, but he hasn't started since that August 4th loss here to the Padres. In that game, Quantrill lasted only 4 1/3 innings, allowed 3 runs. The Rockies bullpen gave up 7 more in that 10-2 Padre victory. Cal Quantrill is pretty good against his former team, the one that drafted him. Quantrill's all-time record against the Padres is 2-1 with a 2.70 ERA. So it'll be a matchup of right-handers, Matt Waldron and Cal Quantrill, going tonight for Colorado. That's a look at our pitching matchup. Of course, it's the first of 3 this weekend between the Padres and the Rockies. 2 teams will play again tomorrow at 5:10, a little half hour earlier tomorrow for Dylan Cease and veteran left-hander Kyle Freeland. And then Sunday's game will be at 12:10. Joe Musgrove will return to action, his second start since coming off the injured list. He'll take on rookie Bradley Blaylock, who made one previous start for Colorado. He'll be on the mound in the game on Sunday. Padres then will come home and begin a homestand on Monday night against the Minnesota Twins with Michael King on the mound. And Martin Perez will pitch against the Twins next Tuesday. Wednesday, they'll close out that 3-game series before the New York Mets come in for a 4-game set next weekend. So the Padres, with a game today, are beginning a stretch of 18 games in 18 days. They do not have an off day for nearly 3 weeks, but they are coming off of an off day yesterday. Everybody's rested and ready to roll here tonight in Denver. Padre lineup is out. We'll get more of that with the guys once we send it to Denver, but everybody, all the starters are in there tonight. Arise is DHing, Cronenworth, Bogarts, Kim, and Machado around the infield, and Profar, Jackson Merrill, David Peralta in the outfield. Higashioka always catches Matt Waldron, and he will do so tonight. The Rockies have pretty much their starting lineup in there as well. Keep an eye out for a couple of youngsters, Ezekiel Tovar, the shortstop, in the number 2 spot, and Brenton Doyle, the center fielder, in the number 3 spot. A couple of very good young hitters for the Colorado Rockies. I want to thank Nick DiNucci for his help out there tonight. Adam Klug, our program director, and hope that Sam Levitt is feeling better. I'll be back after the game for the Padre post-game show. Until then, enjoy exciting Padre baseball. It's coming up next against the Colorado Rockies. Padre pregame show, once again, brought to you by our friends at Ecowater SoCal on the Padres Radio Network. Ecowater SoCal, your water should be perfect. Find them online at ecowatersocal.com.
Homeowners, for a limited time, Comfort Pros Heating